everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Gorilla Whale, the Godzilla Watch-Along podcast. I am your kaiju consultant, Kevin Carpenter.
And I am a Godzilla insurance saleswoman. Bye.
And we are coming to you live.
I didn't say my name!
Kayla Knutson.
It's been a minute, audience.
Yes, we are still
It's been a minute.
We're currently recording this still over our hiatus. This will, of course, come out after our hiatus.
Yeah. This is in the future, far future of several, who knows?
Yeah, we're still currently within incredibly busy parts of our lives right now, and part of that incredibly busy part of my life is that I've moved and I now have a new office studio, and that is where we are recording from. Not live, this is definitely being recorded.
Yeah.
But we're in a new office studio. I got some foam on the walls. I need more foam on the walls. Need to get a bigger carpet.
Don't tell them.
Yeah.
Don't tell them. They now they're gonna be like, ooh, the audio.
I'm giving them a mind picture. I'm giving
Okay.
it's like, listen, audience, you're now part of the development. You're along with the journey with us.
I see. Okay.
I mean, they've been with the journey with us by starting from the original Godzilla and coming all the way to the millennium era.
Maybe they're just now joining us.
They could also.
Maybe this is their very first podcast because they're Godzilla 2000 diehards. In which case, whew.
I sincerely hope there aren't any Godzilla 2000 diehards. Although when it comes to Godzilla movies, there's always a diehard for some of the strangest movies. There were Son of Godzilla diehards.
Yeah, I know. They were in the comments. The thing about watching, at the time of recording, as I enjoy time capsuling when our recording is by commenting on current events of some kind, usually in pop culture, or by mentioning what outside of watching Godzilla, what I have been viewing. It's the summer of Superman currently. We're in the time period where Superman just came out, but Fantastic Four hasn't. So there's been a lot of conversations in the last couple years about superhero fatigue, what with Thunderbolts and Captain America coming out earlier in this year. There's 3 Marvel movies this year.
Instead of all being just kind of shoveled onto Disney+.
Yeah, there's been 3. The box office performance has been not what Marvel used to do in the past, and there's been a lot of conversation about superhero fatigue. And James Gunn, in the lead up to Superman, was talking a lot about how he doesn't believe in superhero fatigue because he thinks that people like good movies, and it's just that the quality of some of the superhero movies has not been great, and or like maybe the quality has been good, but it's not necessarily been something that audiences really want, if that makes sense. Like, it's a good movie, but it's not necessarily something that people actually want to see, which I think there is a distinction. Like, you can make a good movie, and it can be something that audiences do not widely respond to be clear. Like, I don't think that something has to be popular to be good, or that something good is automatically popular, you know?
I appreciate you punctuating your point by hitting the desk with your hand. That's going to come off great in our audio-only medium.
So sorry. But all of that to say is, these weak-ass bitches with their, there's so many superhero movies. I've watched over 20 Godzilla films in the span of a year, and they are all almost the same.
No, I gotta cut you off there. First off, all the Godzilla movies, a lot of them are very different. The original Godzilla is very different from Godzilla vs. Megalon and Godzilla vs. Biollante and Son of Godzilla. And that's kind of a very interesting thing, though, with the Godzilla franchises. We're talking about superhero fatigue, and part of that is that they haven't stopped making the superhero movies. Mm-hmm. But Godzilla, they let Godzilla rest. Except for here.
Did they let Godzilla rest? Because Godzilla has more theatrical film appearances than any superhero.
Yeah, but that's because he's been around. Yeah,
Not as long as Superman. He is younger than Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. He's younger than technically the Human Torch. He's younger than Captain America. And yet he has way more theatrical appearances than any of those superhero movies, which I think is fascinating.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is I'm thinking that's part of why he's been able to last this long is because Toho will at some point stop making Godzilla movies knowing that they will eventually return to make Godzilla movies. They're not going to let that cash cow die. But they're like, okay, let's let Godzilla rest for a little bit, and then we'll come back. And so we had the Showa Godzilla movies, and then they let them rest for a little bit after Return of Mechagodzilla. And then we had the Heisei era Godzilla movies, and then they're like, okay, let's let them rest a little bit. You know, we just did the full arc. You know, Miki has seen Godzilla die, and now she can become a wife, as all women in Godzilla movies are destined to become. But this movie in particular threw a wrench in those plans. Well, not this movie. The previous movie we covered.
The Americans.
Yes. So let me go into the historical context real quick. If you're coming in right now, hi, welcome. You might want to start with the first episode, but we are starting with a new era of Godzilla, so hey.
I don't know, live your life, man.
Yeah, you could pick worst parts to come in. But in one of our previous episodes, we covered Godzilla 1998, the first American feature film Godzilla, not counting the NBC cartoon. And the thing is that it was awful. It was a bad movie. And producer Shogo Tomiyama had this quote: "We had no plans for another Godzilla film until 2005. Now TriStar's Godzilla is Godzilla. We had a feeling that after seeing TriStar's film, we couldn't keep silent until 2005. End quote. So Mr. Tomiyama here was right, hey, we can't let the TriStar Godzilla be the cultural aftertaste of Godzilla. We have to put out another Godzilla right now.
This is like DC being like, we got to scrap it. Like after Flashgate being like, burn it all, get Gun on the phone, let's go.
Exactly. So the Millennium era was supposed to start in 2005, but then Godzilla 1998 happened. So it's like, screw it. We got to get another Godzilla out right now. It's got to be bog standard Godzilla. It's got to be Return to his roots Godzilla. And so we get a bog standard Godzilla
it's
movie.
Mid, y'all. Spoilers. It's so mid.
It's super mid.
It's so mid. I kept getting... So this is... Yes, mini Godzilla films are very different. But this one just felt like this movie... If you asked somebody... If you got a hired gun to watch every Godzilla movie that had just come out and then was like, okay, now go make a quintessential Godzilla movie that has like the widest possible appeal and doesn't take any swings. This is what you would get. You would get, and I say a hired gun because it's like, I mean, obviously somebody with some passion would have done something better, but this is just, it was so middle of the road. At first I was like, ooh, a fun child scientist. It's like a family affair. It's like Jurassic Park, but that didn't really... I don't know how you make a child scientist that's trying to essentially sell Godzilla, like, weather alerts. How do you make this boring? This child is an entrepreneur and a scientific genius, and yet... Not an ounce of my deepest apologies to this child, but not an ounce of charisma.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of characters in this movie.
No.
It's so like if you were like, hey, what's like the rubric for a Godzilla movie? I would say
scientist, journalist, Godzilla.
Scientist, journalist, Godzilla.
And a bad military.
Bad military. The tanks and the jets shoot at Godzilla. They don't work. Oh no, now there's another big monster. Well, now Godzilla's got to save the day by killing the big monster. Yeah. Godzilla kills the big monster.
And when I say like bad military, what I mean specifically is like an antagonist figure that works in the military. Mm-hmm. Like you can have a competent military, you can have an incompetent military. Either one would work in a Godzilla. You can have a competent military.
Audience, Kayla likes to talk with her hands. And we're recording in the same room for once instead of over a Discord chat. And Kayla's just having the roughest time with the table. I
need a silent fidget toy. I'm going insane. Crawling up the foam-covered walls. Okay, I keep like touching things and making noises. So, okay, the thing about... Yeah, you can have a good military or bad military, but usually there's some sort of, like, antagonistic force within the military that's like, we gotta kill that thing. And then sometimes some people are like, no, we should study it. And I liked in this movie, the guy was like, so you're okay with Godzilla destroying cities? And it's like, yeah, like, that's a good fucking point, my dude.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into this as we get into the summary. Also, I'm doing a new thing where I didn't write out every word I say during the summary. I did bullet points because I just frankly didn't have the time to do
Behind the scenes, bitches.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing bullet points. I'm gonna talk over them instead of writing out every word I'm gonna say. So we'll see how that works. Because Godzilla 2000 Millennium was an experiment in the most bog standard way. We're also experimenting with doing new ways to do this. New studio, new writing, all that stuff. Anyway,
it's a new age.
New age. It's the new millennium in Godzilla 2000 Millennium, released in 1999. So, speaking of the movie,
very end of 1999.
Very end of 19. Well, this is, they always release a Godzilla in December around Christmas, and then like the movie itself takes place in the following year. So for this movie, they brought back director Takeo Okawara. He directed a lot of the Heisei movies. The writer for Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla is back, Horisho Kashiwabara. He's also bringing along writer Wataru Mimura. So we've got some Godzilla alum here. So it's not an entirely new crew here. It's like we need to return Godzilla to his roots, but not the interesting ones. So we're gonna bring back the people who did the mid Heisei movies, in our opinion.
Yeah.
And so on December 11th, 1999, Godzilla 2000 Millennium is released. By the way, so the Japanese title is Godzilla 2000 Millennium. The American title is Godzilla 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything you want to say before I kind of jump into summarizing the movie?
I think it's best that we just push forward.
Phenomenal. Let's do
Much
this.
like this franchise.
Exactly. We couldn't let Godzilla rest this time.
No.
Matthew Broderick ruined Godzilla. We need another Godzilla stat. You have less than a year to make another Godzilla. Go!
I will say this, as I am no stranger to controversy. At least American Godzilla 1999 took some swings. I can respect that they took some swings. Were they good big swings? No, not really. But they swung. This movie didn't swing at all.
Did you hear that?
Godzilla doesn't swing!
Did you hear that Gorilla Whale superfan Duke Devlin?
Duke Devlin?
Duke Devlin?
Devlin?
Dean Devlin. Oh god, Duke Devlin I think is the Yu-Gi-Oh character.
Oh my god. Okay, do the summary. This is enough pitter-patter.
So in the year 2000, Godzilla attacks the coasts of Japan so frequently that he has essentially become a natural disaster. People are bored of Godzilla, which itself could be a fun meta commentary if the movie was brave enough to do that.
Yeah, if we made a comedy.
But no, the entire reason we're here for Godzilla 2000 is because we need to bring back more standard Godzilla. So anyway, it is also interesting because we're in a world that doesn't have G-Force. We have two factions. We have the Godzilla Prediction Network, which is an independent organization run by like a few people inside a brewery, run by former university professor Yuji Shinoda and his 7-year-old daughter, Io. They are also joined by reporter Yuki Ichinose. She wants to be working in computer magazines, but instead she's on the incredibly boring beat of taking pictures of Godzilla.
This is crazy.
I don't like her character.
Why would you make a Godzilla movie as a like quote unquote return to form? And when you introduce us to this world, you're just saying over and over again, Godzilla's kind of boring. Like, that is, Godzilla's mundane. Like, that is what we are kicking off this movie with. It's not, oh, Godzilla has changed the world in a super radical way that people have, like, been forced to adjust to, and how does society adjust to such cataclysmic change in their life, and oh, humans are so adaptable, and isn't that interesting, the resilience of humanity, or versus, like, the collective trauma and grief of frequent Godzilla attacks, and that sort of ongoing fight or flight that Japan is constantly living in, something that maybe many countries experience over and over. The last time probably globally would have been like World War II for many, many countries of living in this constant state of like fight or flight and survival. This is something that could have been eerily prescient to the COVID pandemic and that was going to happen in 20 years, Like, you could have done something really interesting with Godzilla is here all of the time and is like, quote unquote, a normal part of life. However, they were just like hitting you over the head constantly with Godzilla's kind of boring. And I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie where it's like about Godzilla and they're like, Godzilla's a little boring.
I hate that I see the character of Yuki Ichinose, the reporter who doesn't want to be in the field taking photos of Godzilla and being like, where's Animal? I miss
right?
I miss the guy who risked his life to get the Godzilla shot.
Like, at least the journalists in the American Godzilla were like, holy shit. I mean, yes, of course, it was a different world. Godzilla is like new, but it's like, it's just, you gotta get an audience excited. This is a monster movie. Get us excited. Have the characters be excited about what's happening.
But yeah, it's like just on a character level. Like, they're not making a meta commentary here. They're just creating a character who doesn't have an active motivation. Like, she's like, oh, I don't want to be taking photos of the giant kaiju. I don't want to be putting myself into life-risking situations. And not even because they risk her life. Mm-hmm. She just thinks Godzilla is boring. And she thinks computers are more exciting.
I don't buy that there isn't a journalist on the beat who's, like, into covering Godzilla.
Right.
Like, I mean, this is basically what this is you're telling us that somebody that works for Wired got thrown into war correspondence on an active, like, battlefront. Mm-hmm. And they're not really interested in any of that, but that's what they're doing. Like, what? That's not how I don't think that's how journalism works.
Yeah. And the opening scene of this movie, by the way, so we see Shinoda and his daughter Io and the reporter Yuki, and they're in like this like van that's full of equipment, and they track that Godzilla is coming in through the seismic movements, so they drive out, and there's like an earthquake going on, so like rocks are coming across this tunnel, and they drive over the rocks in their all-terrain vehicle, and they go through the tunnel, and as they get to the other end of the tunnel, the road is collapsed, and there's Godzilla directly in front of them. He leans in close, and you can see like his breath fogging up the his breath fogging up the windshield. Why did I say driveway? And he roars, and we see the worst glass shattering effects ever. But this is, 2000. They're figuring out CGI still. And, like, she is that close to Godzilla. Mm-hmm. And she's so close that the ambient radiation of Godzilla ruins her film. And then the next scene we see of her is her in her, like, news studio being like, I don't want to cover Godzilla anymore. I want to talk about computers. Why am I here? And the guy, the Japanese J. Jonah Jameson is like, your film is ruined because of the radiation. Give me another photo of Godzilla. And
I need more pictures of Godzilla.
Give me more pictures of Godzilla, stat.
Which, again, like, that could have been a really cool opening. On paper, that sounds very cool. I like the idea of throwing us in on these, like, two research scientists and the journalist that's embedded with them. And that could have been very fun and interesting, but the movie was just not really interested in expanding on any of that, I think. Mm-hmm. I also wonder, well, I was going to say, at this point, digital cameras are a thing. They're not super, super great yet, but we do have digital cameras. But I guess the radiation could cause EMF problems with a digital camera still, so that doesn't necessarily solve the radiation film problem.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Honestly, them acknowledging the ambient radiation of Godzilla, I just think is cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
The thing is that we are going to describe a bunch of stuff that sounds cool, but audience, I need you to know that throughout this movie, there are multiple scenes where there is no music present, and also the sound effects in this movie are horrible.
Yeah, there's all of these really cool... The thing that is frustrating about this movie is that there's a lot of stuff that should be cool that the movie does not treat as cool at all, which is like the opposite of Michael Bay and Zack Snyder, who treat every single frame as the coolest thing ever is happening. And I'm almost like, give me Zack Snyder and Michael Bay doing Godzilla, because at least it will feel like something exciting is happening.
The pacing is also very sluggish, not just with the story, but also with the editing. Like we talked about in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, how they spend like 4 minutes on Godzilla coming out of the water and stepping onto the beach shore.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to imagine that editing style, but for an entire movie.
For a modern movie, too.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because, film is a newer art form, and we did spend a lot of time. Citizen Kane was ahead of its time, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's a lot of great classic movies that feel very modern when you watch them still, and then there's a lot of stuff where it's like they're still figuring it out and trying to figure out maybe this does work, maybe this doesn't work. I don't know. But in the year of our Lord 2000, a slow, sluggish Godzilla movie. Crazy. Well,
Yeah.
Sorry, in the year of our Lord 1999. December 1999.
It really does feel like they, I don't know, didn't have a whole lot of time to shoot this movie, and so they had to stretch out the scenes to stretch out the movie's runtime.
Yeah,
for
because
some
they have
reason.
nothing going on. There's we have such a small cast of characters. You'd think that we would really get into them, and we don't.
We also don't really get into a whole lot of themes. There's another thing in this scene where they're tracking Godzilla for the first time, where afterward Godzilla attacks an energy plant.
Mm-hmm.
And Shinoda, the former professor, the guy running this Godzilla prediction network.
No, I'm sorry. The daughter is running it.
Oh, yeah. The daughter is running the finances and the membership. And
she also does the cooking.
She does the cooking. She knows most of the technology. Shinoda drives the car.
Yeah. Her feet can't reach the pedals. Presumably when she gets her license, her dad's just going to be cast aside like the deadweight he is.
That is one very fun dynamic in this movie, is like the dynamic of Io, the incredibly serious, precocious 7-year-old daughter, very by business.
It could have been really good.
It could have been great. They could have added more to it, maybe some character arc in there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe something about, I would have liked to see something about him sort of depending on her, like this reversal of parent-child that is happening, this messed up dynamic where he is like forced his daughter to like take care of him, kind of.
Yeah.
Because this is something that happens in the real world, is that like daughters, if the mother isn't in the picture, sometimes are fulfilling that role in the household with regards to like traditional gender norms of if like the mom is the one that's expected to do the cooking and the cleaning and kind of take care of the household, the daughter is the one that ends up having to do it because the dad doesn't know how to do it, kind of a thing, in that really rigid structure. And it would have been interesting, maybe if they did something with exploring those social dynamics. It's not like we haven't discussed like family social dynamics in modern society and the way that changes or the negative effects of any of that in a Godzilla movie, because we have explored family politics in Godzilla movies, which is hilarious to think about how that's a thing.
I hate to say it, but remember All Monsters Attack?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is it's like they could have, it wouldn't have been really out of character necessarily to go into it, but they didn't.
Yeah. And there's another theme they don't go into. Like, as I was saying, Godzilla attacks an energy plant, and Shinoda is like, oh, is Godzilla angry at, like, man-made energy? Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there's something there you could explore, but we don't explore it. So moving on.
Yeah, we don't, there's never really, we just know that he likes to attack the power plants, but they don't really get into why, which is weird because I feel like we have touched on Godzilla like eating energy before, but that doesn't seem to be what is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So
it seems like he's just kind of pissed off, like he just likes to break human things sometimes.
Yeah, there's not a lot of motivation happening.
So we have the Godzilla Prediction Network, which is basically these 3 people in the van and like a few other people that support them. And then we have the Crisis Control Intelligence, or the CCI. And that is headed by Mitsuo Katagiri, who's a politician, or like a defense official, along with Professor Shiro Miyasaka, who knew Shinoda back in their university days. So this is not G-Force, by the way. This is not an international coalition with unlimited money where they create giant robots to fight Godzilla while they're working on their mind control satellite that they can stick to the back of his neck. This is literally just like a politician pulling some military strings or Japanese Special Defense Forces strings to occasionally react to Godzilla in the hopes of killing him. We learn later in the movie that that's why there's this split between Shinoda and Katagiri, is that Shinoda wants to study Godzilla while Katagiri wants to kill Godzilla. So another theme that we've covered a bunch in previous Godzilla movies.
It's also interesting that this government agency is very reactive to Godzilla rather than proactive, considering that this is a world where Godzilla attacks are so frequent that we have the Godzilla Prediction Network trying to drum up interest in membership of the Godzilla Prediction Network. I don't know why they aren't trying to just get some sort of government funding and be like a nationally funded weather service of some kind, you know? That I feel like that's what they should really... I'm missing the scene where 7-year-old Io is talking to Katagiri and is trying to be like, I can help you track Godzilla. Also, the fact that these two... That the 7-year-old child and her dad are like the only people that are really reliably tracking Godzilla somehow. Like, give me the multiple teams of storm chasers that are going after Godzilla.
This could be the Godzilla Storm Chaser movie that we've been talking about.
Yeah, Kaiju Chaser.
And it's not.
I mean, we have like the journalist running interference with this kid who is trying to build investment schemes off of Godzilla's movements to tell people when to divest because it's about to get hit by a Godzilla attack. And yet the government, the CCI doesn't, like, there's no relationship ever established. I don't think they ever establish any sort of relationship between them. They're like separated the entire movie.
They're separated the entire movie, and it's because Shinoda knew Miyasaka and Katagiri in his university days. But, like I said, Katagiri and Miyasaka want to kill Godzilla, while Shinoda wants to keep him alive but study him. And so they split up their resources, but it is very strange that all the government funding is put toward this loose coalition of special defense forces that just want to kill Godzilla instead of funding an actual Godzilla Prediction Network. The fact that the Godzilla Prediction Network is literally just a guy and his daughter in a van is weird. Especially if Godzilla is so frequently attacking Tokyo at this point that everyone is bored of him.
There is, to be fair, because somebody's probably yelling in their car at the radio right now, there is a network. Like, she's taking calls from other outposts.
Yeah.
So it's technically not just the two of them. We just never see any of the other people. So there is, like, a network of people working for the Godzilla Prediction Network all across Japan.
But they're funded by membership dues. There's a whole scene where...
It's freaking AAA.
Where reporter Yuki comes in and she's like, I guess I have to continue following you guys to cover the Godzilla story. And Io is like, cool, here's our membership plans, but we are running a discount right now. And it's kind of fun. That's a fun scene.
It is very fun. It is very fun, though, that she is trying to fleece... They must not have a lot of memberships if she's trying to fleece this journalist for membership and being like, we won't talk to you unless you sign up to be a member of our organization, which feels like maybe some journalistic ethics stuff is getting a little wonky there. But also, like, don't you just want the free advertising that will happen if you have a journalist embedded with you telling your story instead of forcing her to pay I'm like, they really must have to keep the lights on. There must not be a lot of people that are paying dues that it's a funny scene, and she's a child, so I feel like it could have been funny to have her trying to sell this membership to the journalist, and the journalist being either making jokes about journalistic integrity or something, and or being like, do you know what free advertisement is? Like, just, I don't know, like something... That, again, this movie could have expanded on a lot of things that it chose not to, and then it had to drag out everything because they didn't have enough action for a full-length feature.
Yeah, see, the thing is that we are taking a logical thread and we're pulling at it and we're trying to see how far it goes, and this movie is not interested in that.
For a movie that really just wants to keep moving, it's so sluggish.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. so Crisis Control Intelligence, which is the people that want to kill Godzilla, apparently they have a lot more responsibilities because they're also in charge of exploring a large mysterious object that has been found in the deep ocean.
It could be a crisis.
Yeah, it could be a crisis. We got listen. It's never said whether other giant monsters exist in this world, but I do like to imagine that like other giant monsters have popped up after Godzilla, and it's just like God, we just need a group to just look at this stuff just in case it becomes a problem. So they find a large mysterious object in the deep ocean. They send a submarine down there. They shine a light on it. They take some balloons to try to get it out of the deep ocean instead of just leaving it in there. And then it starts to move and rise by itself. So now we have this big, giant rock in the deep ocean floating on the surface of the water when it shouldn't. And everyone's like, this is probably not good.
I thought it was going to be Mothra. I was like, oh, it's Mothra. Like, they're trying to make a quintessential Godzilla movie. He's got to fight a creature. I thought it was going to be a Mothra egg of some kind, and they were going to, just nix the islanders.
I can assure you, Kayla, Mothra will return in the Millennium era.
I know.
We are getting a Millennium Mothra movie.
I know they're never gonna let that bitch retire, because I demand it. But yeah, no, it turns out to be freaking aliens.
Yep, it's aliens. Listen. Buy the book Godzilla.
Buy the book Godzilla.
Gotta get an alien in
aliens
there.
Want to invade Earth. Oh no.
Super interested in Godzilla.
Provides a obstacle.
So Godzilla comes ashore. The CCI come in with tanks and jets and their new full metal missiles that will certainly get through Godzilla's scales. Spoiler alert, they don't.
Are missiles not normally made almost entirely of metal?
That's what the translation I was reading was called.
Do you think Hiromu Arakawa, when she was brainstorming Full Metal Alchemist in the late 90s, watched this movie and they said full metal missiles and she was like, Full Metal Alchemist?
I don't know the timeline on that.
Full Metal Alchemist premiered in 2001.
I'm glad you know that off the top of your head. So, by the way, there's that part in the movie where they're like, oh, we've come up with a new weapon to take on Godzilla. And mind you, the previous Godzilla movies, it's like giant lasers, special landmines the size of a football stadium, the cells that you can shoot into Godzilla and it messes with his cells.
Sentient plants.
This movie made me think of Godzilla vs. Biollante a lot. Like, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, I wish I was watching Godzilla vs. Biollante.
Godzilla vs. Biollante is a much better version of whatever's happening in this movie.
Yes, in a lot of different ways. And we'll come to that in the final fight as well. But the secret weapon that they have against Godzilla is a missile that just hits harder. It's like, look at it go through 3 concrete barriers. This is totally going to hurt Godzilla.
It's just so boring. Did they write this in like a weekend? And then just took it to script?
It's funny because they got the writer from Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, and previously he was a romance writer, and we don't even have a romance.
We barely have a father-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no exploration in this movie. You could have cut down this would have been an adequate Saturday morning cartoon, because any of the shit that's actually relevant can probably fit in 22 minutes.
This is an episode of the Godzilla the series Fox cartoon. And
yeah.
An alien ship gets unearthed from the deep ocean, and Godzilla has to fight it. Boom. You could totally get that in 22 minutes.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So Godzilla's fighting the JDF, and then the missiles and the jets and the tanks don't work, because of course. And then the mysterious object, which we will now refer to as a UFO, flies up into the air and immediately beelines toward Godzilla. And then the thing is floating in the air, and Godzilla's looking at it, and then the thing shoots a laser at Godzilla. Oh, shit. And then Godzilla fires his atomic breath at the thing, and then they both beam blast each other, and Godzilla gets knocked into the ocean, and then the UFO gets a little hurt. Like, some of the rock that's on it from being in the deep ocean for 60 million years comes off, and you see, like, shiny blue silver metal underneath, and it's like, ooh, what's going on?
Yeah, this is a 60 million year old UFO.
Yes. the UFO flies away and then it lands by a bridge and then just becomes inert. And
It
so
looks. Okay. Did you also think that the UFO looked like a vagina? Because I was like, I feel like this is very. It looks like genitalia.
when all the rock comes off of it, I thought bedpan.
Okay.
Like a bedpan that's
Yeah.
flipped upside down.
Yeah.
Because it kind of has that, like,
Yeah.
concave
Well,
look
it's like,
to it.
but I mean, like, when they show it flying over and you're, like, looking up at it, and you see, like, the ridges that they have on it, I'm like, this looks a tad yonic. Which is not something that happens with UFOs a lot. There's definitely a trend where UFOs often resemble, like, genitalia. Usually, the thing is, Earth builds phallic rockets, but outer space always has yonic saucers.
You need to play Mass Effect at some point. There's an entire alien race that is made up of, like, the blue-skinned woman alien trope.
Sure.
And also all of their spaceships look yonic. Like, you would have a field day with that.
There are cathedrals for those with eyes to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing really else to focus on.
Yeah, there's nothing, and it doesn't even...
The whole fight is beam blast, double beam blast,
Yeah.
We're done.
This spaceship also, like, it's all CGI. I don't think they use a physical model at any point in time. I think it's CGI the whole time with the UFO, and it's not a particularly interesting design, probably because it's very early CGI and they have a very rushed production schedule, so they can't really do too much.
Yeah, remember the first Heisei...
So it's just boring.
Remember the first Heisei movie where Godzilla was fighting Super X and, like, that was the big fight? And I'm like, this is kind of boring. Yep. Back to the roots, baby.
It's just... Okay.
So
Take a shot every time we say boring.
This is a boring movie. I'm sorry. We get comments where we're too negative on these movies, and part of it is that every Godzilla movie has its super fans. But I'm sorry, this movie's boring. Son of Godzilla made me feel unsettled. Godzilla 1998 made me feel angry. Godzilla vs. Megalon made me feel laughter. None of these are good movies, but at the very least, they made me feel something.
Yeah. The worst thing any piece of media could ever be, in my opinion, the greatest sin you can commit in art is being boring. I don't care if it's bad, as long as there's something interesting happening or it's exciting in the moment or something. Like, that has more merit to me than something that is just flat and boring the whole time.
And this is what kickstarts the millennium era. But thank God that the millennium era isn't, like, trying at a long-running storyline like the Heisei stuff. The millennium era is marked by each movie being its own thing.
Okay.
Except for two of them that were Mechagodzilla is the protagonist in both of them. But we'll get to those when we get to those. Okay. Boring Godzilla UFO fight. They retreat. It's kind of a draw. Whatever. So Shinoda, who is the guy with the Godzilla Prediction Network, he teams up with Miyasaka and Katagiri and combine their resources to study Godzilla and come up with a plan to basically take care of the Godzilla and the alien problem at once, because now things are just whack. So Shinoda and Miyasaka go over to the secret laboratory and they're studying some skin cells that they got from a Godzilla footprint, and Shinoda discovers the secret to Godzilla's healing factor inside Godzilla's cellular makeup, and so he calls it Regenerator G1. Quick translation note, audience. So in the Japanese release, the original translation was Organizer G1, and then the North American release called it Regenerator G1. I'm going off the captions from the US Blu-ray, and I think Regenerator G1 makes more sense because it's what it's doing. Yeah, so
regenerating.
Just a heads up, that's the translation that I'm going off of. I'm still watching the Japanese, like, audio, but the US Blu-ray captions.
Yeah, we don't speak Japanese, and sometimes I do wonder with these movies every now and then, because I'm not a native Japanese speaker or a Japanese speaker at all, and I know that Japanese, because I have dabbled in manga, the Japanese language has a lot of intricacies that get lost when you move to English, particularly one of the most famous or most well-known things is, like, pronoun usage, and the pronouns that you use, like, they have a ton of different pronouns, whereas in the US we don't have that many. And they all, like in English, our pronouns don't really convey like double meanings. You know, like I would refer to Kevin as he or you, and it's always he or you or him or whatever, and it doesn't connotate anything. Whereas Japan, of course, and I'm preaching to the choir here probably because this is a Godzilla podcast, so y'all are already like, yes, we know about the complicated Japanese pronouns, Kayla. You can denote somebody, you can infer somebody's relationship to another person by what pronouns they're using for each other, which I think is like fascinating. But all of that to say is, sometimes I wonder, is the dialogue bad or is the translation bad? Because the dialogue in this movie was not great.
Yeah.
It just felt so... Everybody, like, I've harped on the dialogue in a lot of Godzilla movies, but it could very well be the translation. So if anybody speaks Japanese and has watched these movies, can tell me, actually, the translators are just butchering it, and it's really lyrical and beautiful. That'd be nice.
Yes, that's what we want to give to our Godzilla fandom here, an open invitation to send us an actually.
Yeah. Comments, engagements, social media, etc. I'd be rage baiting all the time.
That's fair.
Son of Godzilla sucks. Discuss.
Okay, cool. So here's the deal. We have Godzilla, but now we have this UFO that's also a problem. So the CCI theorized that the aliens touched down like 60 million years ago, and then they landed in the ocean. They probably survive off sunlight. So they did a big oopsie by landing in the deep ocean where there is no sunlight, and that's why they were just inert for 60 million years. And then when the submarine came down with a light, that was enough of a kickstart for the thing to activate and start flying into the air and fighting Godzilla. So now it's just like tilted, like it's vertical now, just next to this bridge in the water, but it's not doing anything. Might be absorbing more sunlight or whatever, just kind of get it refueled. So the CCI tries to tie down the UFO. They got like construction cranes and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, no, this is totally hold it.
It was such a terrible idea.
They have all these full metal missiles. Why aren't they anyway? So they tie it down and that fails. And then the UFO flies over and it lands on top of the Tokyo Opera City Tower. And then we see through these year 2000 like computer graphics that it's shooting out these invisible tentacles and it's draining all the data from the Tokyo Computer Network, including all files on Godzilla. These aliens are like, ooh, hang on, Godzilla might be interesting. And it's like, yeah, it just kicked your ass. Of course it's interesting. No humans think Godzilla's interesting, except for the one guy that wants to kill him.
Well, the aliens aren't used to it. They've been sleeping for the last 60 million years. They crash landed when there was a bunch of dinosaurs. And now there's only the one, presumably. And they're like, what happened to the rest of them? Let us download the files.
There we go. And yes, they're 60 million year old. They're so glad that they were able to sleep till we got computers, so that way their computers could run with our computers.
I'm not opposed. So I'm not this is all just Y2K anxiety, I think.
Oh, yeah.
With the aliens hacking the computer network and downloading this like millennium virus and all of this. It's Y2K, but it's Godzilla dealing with Y2K anxiety in the most, like, it feels like they're just paying lip service. Mm-hmm. They're just like, what can we talk about? What's interesting and current? Oh, everybody's concerned that all of the world's computers are about to explode because of Y2K. Let's do something with that, I suppose.
So you know who else is concerned? The CCI. It's like, all right, we got this UFO on top of this tower. It's going into our computer network. It's hacking into our systems. We got to do something about it. But we also get a shot of like crowds of people in the city just kind of hanging out, watching the tower. There's literally a guy who's also bored, being like, why isn't the UFO doing anything? Boredom is the most common theme in this movie.
It's crazy. I thought I had to rewind because I was like, there's no way they just called this out. That the citizens of Tokyo are literally saying, why isn't the UFO doing anything? It's just sitting there. It's so boring. Bro. That's what the audience is thinking.
So the CCI is like, all right, let's just blow up the tower. We're not going to fire our missiles directly at the UFO. We're going to blow up the entire tower it's resting on. But Shinoda is like, no, we can find out more about the aliens. I'm going to break into the tower. And Katagiri is like, okay, I'm still going to blow up the tower even with you in it because he's a bad military man. He's got to get the job done.
How does blowing up the tower help?
Well, because then the UFO will fall down and maybe it'll hurt itself on the fall. It's not like
Crazy.
it'll fly.
Not like I was like, they're just destroying this building that it's sitting on for the loose again.
And guess what? They fail at that too.
Yeah, they can't even blow up a building.
The windows blow up, but the tower doesn't fall. And Shinoda, the only person in there, also survives by going into an air vent. So
it is crazy to. I'm like, you're telling me that they do not have the capabilities to even blow up a single building? This is something that just happens in construction, let alone warfare.
Yeah. But then, the aliens broadcast a message to all TVs in the Neon Genesis Evangelion opening font, where it's like black screens, white screens, words of different languages popping up, da, 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 da. But instead, they're talking about how they're going to take over the Earth and bring about a new 1,000-year kingdom, aka a new millennium. Title drop.
The graphic design, by the way, from the aliens is not great.
No, like I said, no, it's the Neon Genesis Evangelion opening.
Yeah.
It's literally that. When did Neon Genesis... That was 90s,
It was
right?
the 90s, yeah.
So it was probably direct inspiration. So Shinoda survives. He comes back to the CCI. He's like, I live, bitch.
By the way, sorry. We didn't even like touch on this. So they're like... Shinoda's in the tower, right? You know who knows Shinoda's in the tower? His 7-year-old daughter and the reporter.
Oh, yeah.
Who race to the tower to tell the military guy, hey, you can't blow it up. Shinoda's in there. And then the soldier guy calls, HQ, and that's when what's-his-face is like, blow it anyway. And there is a very, very little reaction from either of them. They just immediately accept, well, I guess he's gonna die. What? And then they get in the car, and they evacuate, and then the journalist is like, no, never mind. And they turn around and they head back towards the tower. And you're like, okay, they're going to run into a building that is about to explode to try and save him. Don't know why they didn't just do that immediately because they wasted Lord knows how much time running away. Also, they're like, no, we're going to blow it anyway. And it's like, give us another 10 minutes before we actually blow up the tower. They're like, no, we can't wait for this guy to get out, and yet they still wait. It's not like it's not a case where he's like, no, blow the tower, and they immediately hit the button. They still haven't hit the button. She drives away, U-turns, comes back. The kid gets out of the car and starts running towards the tower. Suddenly, I guess it's sunk in for her now that her dad's gonna die. And then the reporter is like, no, you can't go in there. And it's like, I'm like, why? If you weren't gonna go into the tower ever, why did you? What's going on? What is the thought process here about why you did that? Why, if you were going to go back, why did you leave and then turn around so you could have a closer view of the tower as it explodes? And then the kid tries to run in there because she's a kid whose dad is about to die and is trying to stop this. And then you're like, no, don't go in there. If you were attempting to protect her or prevent her from running into certain death, if you're thinking that I have to get this kid out of here, this is a dangerous situation to be in, why would you turn around?
I will say, I think that's the closest we get to a character arc in this movie is the precocious 7-year-old at first being all business and membership plans and all that. And then at the end of the movie being like, oh, I am a kid. My dad almost died. I'm so happy my dad didn't die. Daddy, jump into his arms.
Yeah, you could have played this whole thing where the daughter is growing up too quickly because the dad is looking at her as a business partner more than a child, and she's taking on all of these adult responsibilities and sensibilities. But as the danger becomes less of an abstract, and as shit really hits the fan, the dad has to step up and actually be the parent here, and the kid is becoming less and less, because kids are I am basically a grown-up. They have no concept of how young they actually are because they're the oldest they've ever been, and now they know the most that they've ever known. they have no perspective. So playing with this idea of this kid who could act as like a self-insert character for the children that love Godzilla, of like, she's in the action, she's in charge of this, blah blah blah, and then that falling away as shit gets more dangerous and serious, and the dad having to like step up or something, and this like journalist character who knows this kid and has had this very like it could have, I mean, they didn't, it was kind of funny, but they didn't really go into it as much, this sort of antagonistic relationship with this kid who she has to talk to, like the comedy of this journalist needing to correspond with a 7-year-old over Godzilla is funny. We don't really play into it, any of it, for actual comedy, but her, like, the idea of her then having to be like, I need to actually take care of this, like, prevent this kid from dying, like, I'm responsible for this child, going from, like, annoying kid that I have to deal with in a comic situation because she should be an adult but she isn't, and blah blah blah, and then to be like, oh, I need to get this kid out of here, like, and then also just, again, the complete, like, low-key reaction that they had to, we're gonna blow the building up anyway. It was just like, they were so stoic about it. I don't think I could be, if my dad was in the tower and they're like, we're gonna blow up the tower with your dad in there, I would have been like, I'm about to commit assault. Like,
yeah, and
absolutely not.
And speaking of what little character arcs there is, you have Yuki, the reporter, who's bored with covering Godzilla, but then she takes her place as girl who holds daughter's hand, placement mom.
Yeah.
Gotta get that in with the...
But it's also in the, again, like, they don't even, it's not even a good maternal sort of arc, because why is she turning around and taking her back to the like, again, yeah. It's just, there's no logical through line in any of this.
This movie doesn't really care about the human characters, and so we're going to move on to the monster fight.
Yeah.
So, first things first, though, Shinoda, he survived because they suck at blowing up towers. He comes in, he's like, I lived, bitch. And he's also like, hey, I think these aliens, which we're now going to call the millenniums, I think that they want Godzilla's regenerative cells to reform their bodies because they have been inert for 60 million years and they're all messed up. So we have a half blown up tower, we have the UFO in Tokyo, and then Godzilla shows up and we get the scene of all the humans on a nearby rooftop about to watch the monster fight. And both of them are like, there's only one thing on Godzilla's mind right now. Revenge. By the way, real quick, I haven't discussed this yet, but Godzilla's design in this movie, I actually really like.
Oh my god, that literally the first thing I wrote. Okay, my notes, Godzilla 2000. First note, oh my god, here we go again. And then right after, I wrote down, superhero fatigue, you are weak to me. I have seen innumerable Godzilla movies. And then in all caps, kid scientist. As you can see, I was excited for where this could potentially go. And then deeply, immensely disappointed. And then fourth note, this design fucks. It's a great Godzilla design. The best thing about this movie is the Godzilla design. They put all of their time, energy, and money into that.
Yeah, the head looks great. They designed the eyes that way they're almost always looking at you, no matter where, like, Godzilla's pointed. They tripled his back spikes.
Oh, so good.
Apparently people got cut all the time on the movie set.
As you should. If nobody is in peril on a Godzilla movie set, are we really making a Godzilla movie?
Exactly. This is straight up the spikiest Godzilla we have seen yet. I love it. So Godzilla arrives to kick some ass. Tentacles burst from the ground and drag around Godzilla. Godzilla shoots an atomic breath at the UFO, and then as the UFO flies toward him, he tail swipes the UFO, and the UFO crashes. And if you took a picture of a UFO and screen recorded you moving it around on MS Paint, that's kind of what the tail swipe scene looks like. It's not, the effects aren't great. And I don't harp on the effects that much because we covered a lot of these movies in the 60s and 70s. But this is the year 1999. Independence Day has come out. Jurassic Park has come out. Like,
Phantom Menace came out.
Phantom Menace had good effects. Yeah. Like, come on. So, the UFO fires a laser at Godzilla and then drops a building on him. Because at least the UFO knows how to blow up a building better than
The Matrix?
Yeah.
There's so many good movies in the 90s, which I know now people are going to infer that I mean that Phantom Menace is a good movie. But there's so many movies in the 90s that have great action and effects and are a part of or are kicking off huge franchises. And the fact that Toho saw the American Godzilla and was like, we cannot let this stand, and we must show them up, and then arrived on the scene with the most rushed, bogged down movie that they possibly could. Like, that's not how you show up the Americans at Godzilla.
Yeah. This is not a palate cleanser. So, okay. So we have the UFO. All the rock is off the UFO, by the way. So now it's in its full blue, overturned bedpan, yonic glory.
Yep.
And it dropped the building on Godzilla. So then this big tentacle alien comes out, and it brings out its tentacles to Godzilla, and it absorbs his regenerator G1 cells and takes his regenerative ability, but it can't control the transformation. And so it reforms into a hunchbacked monster known as Orga.
Which looks good.
It's kind of hard to describe this creature. Like I said, it's got this like massive hunched back. It's got like a square head with sharp teeth.
It's like turtley.
Yeah.
If Godzilla is a like iguana lizard sort of based kaiju, this thing looks like a snapping turtle Pokemon.
It's, you know what it is? Take an action figure of the Cloverfield monster and like kind of put it in the microwave for like 3 seconds.
I haven't seen Cloverfield.
We need to watch that for a bonus episode.
That literally is like one of the points was, oh yeah, I had never saw Cloverfield.
We need to watch Cloverfield at some point. And hey, by the way, just talked about bonus episodes. If you want to listen to some more of our bonus episodes where we cover some non-Godzilla movies like King Kong, Pacific Rim, Mothra, all of that, be sure to check out our Ko-fi at kofi.com/Digital Kaiju Studios. Just throw a little bit of money on our way, and you get access to a private playlist with our bonus episodes where you can hear me and Kayla talk even more about giant monster movies. Check it out. So, we have Orga now. Orga is the giant monster. They ate some Godzilla healing factor. They can't control it, so now they're all like a hunchback, messed up monster. Blah, blah, blah. And so the two fight once more, and they're slapping each other with their claws, and I swear the sound effects they're not like a big Titanic, like boom. They are literally, it's like a plap.
There's little bits of this fight where you feel like it could have been, again, a lot of this movie is, this could have been good. Like we got really intense like close-ups. The suit for Orga looks cool. It's an interesting design. But yeah, it felt like they were dealing with kitty gloves a lot. Like these suits were maybe very fragile or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not, again, it was not particularly exciting.
Well, and you can fix a lot of that with sound design, but there's no music. The sound effects are bad. And hold on to that, because I'm going to touch on to that even more later.
Mm-hmm.
So, Orga can also control the UFO still, which I think is very cool.
Yeah.
So not only do you have Orga fighting Godzilla, but also the UFOs flying around and firing laser beams at Godzilla.
And he's very bad with flying opponents. We know this.
We've covered the triangle theory of boxing here. He hates that UFO. It is very clear Godzilla is being annoyed by the UFO still being in the fight. So eventually he takes it down with an atomic blast. But I really do like that, where we didn't just abandon the UFO. Now it's like a weapon that Orga is using. So during the fight, Orga also takes more of Godzilla's cells. So he's starting to get more Godzilla traits during the fight, like his back spikes. And that's a really cool mechanic, actually. Like, we've covered Godzilla fighting doppelgangers, but also, in a much more interesting movie, Godzilla has fought a mutating giant monster that is becoming more and more like Godzilla.
Yeah.
Hey, remember Godzilla vs. Biollante?
Once again, we must bring up Godzilla vs. Biollante, a much better version of this movie.
Oh, God, I miss Godzilla vs. Biollante. Don't watch this movie. Watch Godzilla vs. Biollante. You're going to get everything that this movie hits on and more.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like the response to the TriStar Godzilla should have just been a Godzilla vs. Biollante re-release. Just put that back in the theaters.
Or remake it.
Yeah.
With, well, I mean, it was a The effects and the visuals in that movie were really very good. They probably would not have been able. They would have tried with CGI to do it, and it would have looked not great.
I don't want to see year 2000 CGI Biollante.
No.
No. Moving on. So now the mutated Orga at one point opens its mouth real wide, like it has that like organic netting.
Yeah.
And it's looking like it's going to eat Godzilla. And I swear, like the way this is shot is like Godzilla sees him open its mouth real wide, and he has like half a minute to be like, is he really? Well, actually, maybe. Okay. And then he just charges straight into Orga's mouth.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh no, he's about to eat Godzilla. And Orga is mutating and gaining more Godzilla traits. And you could practically hear Godzilla laugh as no, it's not his atomic breath, right? It's his nuclear pulse. That's right. He does his little like exploding from his whole body thing and just blows up Orga entirely.
Yeah, which is sick, but also they dragged it out.
Yes.
Like, that should have been the coolest, most exciting part of the movie. But it took them so long to do that entire sequence that I thought I was like, I might as well just watch a python eat a rat, because that is going to go faster than this.
Yeah. And once again, that's how the Biollante fight ended. It's the Biollante tried to eat Godzilla, but in that movie, you actually fear that Godzilla's going to get eaten.
Yeah.
And in this movie, it's like he's not going to get eaten because he has enough time. Like, the camera focuses on him so much that you can practically see a thought bubble appear over his head, like, oh, maybe this will work.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He, like, fakes him out.
So, Orga's dead. UFO destroyed. The day is saved. Except Godzilla's still around.
Whoop!
So Godzilla stomps over to the building where all the humans are watching, and everyone's like, oh shit, he nosed us. And I actually do like this scene.
This is a fun scene.
Katagiri, the guy in charge of trying to kill Godzilla and failing, and trying to kill the alien and failing, and trying to blow up a tower and failing, this man of multiple failures, looks at Godzilla as Godzilla looks down at him. He lights a cigarette.
Yeah, I would need a cigarette too if I was eye to eye with Godzilla.
Yeah, he lights a cigarette and he's like, wow, I can't believe I'm this close to Godzilla. And like Shinoda's like, dude, we need to go. And he's trying to like pull him away. And Katagiri like punches him in the face. He's like, no, I'm going to continue staring at Godzilla.
Like, and we've had similar sort of showdowns in the past where somebody who is hell-bent on killing Godzilla comes face to face with Godzilla and is very clearly like about to get attacked, or like they're trying to bluff Godzilla, which you cannot do. I don't like, it's fun and entertaining, but I also am like, why would Katagiri do this?
I think it's kind of I think it's almost like an honorable suicide kind of thing. Like, he's failed so much.
He's committing seppuku by Godzilla?
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah. They did it a lot better in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah.
Yeah, like, this is a very, there's no...
This is a movie where the entire time I'm so bored that I'm just thinking about better Godzilla movies. And saying Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is better is also a statement.
I'm not opposed to the suicide by Godzilla plot point, but this just felt very unearned.
Yeah. We also get Katagiri staring up at Godzilla, and in his final moments he screams, Godzilla! And then Godzilla doesn't even smash him, he just tears away the bit of roof that he's standing on,
yeah.
And Katagiri falls to his death, and everyone's like, Katagiri, no! And then Godzilla doesn't waste the rest of the humans. Instead, we end this like every other Godzilla movie. He goes off peacefully into the ocean. Nope! Actually, Godzilla is still destroying Tokyo. Tokyo's on fire. He's blowing up more buildings. He's blowing up more bridges. And everyone's like, welp, I guess Godzilla's still a problem. And
what? Like...
So, once again, I'm watching the US Blu-ray English captions. And so here is the final conversation. Miyazaki is like, we scientists produced this monster, Godzilla, and ever since we tried to destroy him. And Yuki Ichinose is like, But then why does he keep protecting us? And Shinoda goes, maybe because Godzilla is inside each one of us.
I hate it.
The best part is that in the original North American theatrical release, we then cut over to Godzilla blowing up Tokyo, and I swear the words "the end" with a big question mark in the middle appears on screen.
That's not even grammatically correct.
And it's so
The end.
The end. And it's so funny. It's so cheesy that they took it out of the US home release.
Yeah.
But you see Godzilla 2000 in theaters and it literally ends with "the end?" question mark.
I also absolutely like, once again, this is one of those Godzilla movies that tries to shoehorn in some sort of, so it wants to be profound, put in zero work to be profound, and then comes up with this like little exchange at the end that's just like nothing. Like, it's just nothing. This whole like, nothing meaningful happens in this movie. There's not even really any sort of, like, Godzilla exists because humanity harnessed and unleashed a technology that we really should never have, like, touched. It is, like, atomic nuclear weapons are capable of annihilating us. And we played around with the fucking sun. Like, absolutely crazy insane. And Godzilla is the result of that. It is that haunting annihilation of, oh God, we have fucked around and now we are finding out. You could do the same thing with computers. You could do the same thing with, we've taken this technology that is very interesting and exciting, and we started running with it before we realized the potential consequences of our actions. The genie is out of the bottle now, and oh no, shit could go terribly, terribly wrong. You could play with that, with these two forces, with this virus thing that they don't even, it's just like the aliens just download a bunch of data. Like, it's not even actually any sort of computer virus or anything. The aliens just download a whole bunch of data and then beam everybody a PowerPoint slideshow about how they're going to take over the world. But they don't do it, like, they don't shut down hospitals or military or sonar, like, they don't cripple the network or anything like that. Because I guess Godzilla just attacks before they could. I don't know, but it's like, you could have done something with humanity's relationship to technology and society and the way that we become really dependent on these technologies and the way that we unleash technology that we don't really understand or have, like, the full ability to comprehend the magnitude of, which this could have made this film so prescient and increasingly relevant as we continue to go deeper and deeper into the computer age.
Especially for a movie coming out during Y2K.
Yes! Like, Y2K was kind of one of the first big cultural moments where we were like, uh-oh, this whole computer thing, and I'm not like a Luddite about computers, but it was the first time where we were like, shit, did we think this through? And we didn't do anything with this. And it's like, this movie could have aged so well the way that a lot of great science fiction does, because science fiction looks at the problems that are happening now and what sort of problems we might have in the future, and then is like, and then looks at the history of humanity and is like, bet this is gonna go super well. And talks about, and like, that's why you get iRobot and all of these great, iRobot was the first one that technology came, you should, everybody read iRobot.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the Will Smith
No,
iRobot
I'm talking
movie.
about Isaac Asimov's original iRobot. It's like 7 interconnected short stories about robots that was done he wrote it, I think, in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to see how Asimov predicts some things and then the things that don't quite line up, and just his whole idea of robots and technology and how that would interact with humanity. This could have been interesting sci-fi, and it wasn't.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, first off, I do want to mention that the actor playing Shinoda is Takahiro Murata. He played the corporate lackey in Godzilla vs. Mothra. I say that because I spent the whole movie being like, I've seen this guy before.
Bless him.
Yeah, that's him. We're getting, this movie came out in 1999, so we're getting to the point where there are actors here who are in other movies, so which is very funny to me. Like, in other movies that we personally have seen. Like, there's a few.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. I'm like,
no,
they're always in other movies.
They're always in other movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially once we get to the MonsterVerse movies, and then it's like Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the American MonsterVerse movies as a big fan of the American blockbuster. It'll be very interesting to see what I think, because I haven't seen any of them.
No, talking about scenes where a human and Godzilla stare at each other, there's a scene in the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters that I'm going to be spending like 40 minutes talking about because it is incoherent.
Great.
So also, following tradition, this movie would get an American re-edit. Ironically, however, this re-edit was generally well received. So cuts were made to the film to heighten the pacing because it's an incredibly sluggish movie. The English dub was made with an actual budget. Like, they made like an international dub, and apparently that was so low quality that the Americans did, like, TriStar was distributing this.
Yeah.
And TriStar was like, this dub is so bad, we're just gonna redub it ourselves.
Nice.
So they purposely also made it a little wacky with like in an homage to like the 60s and 70s Godzilla movies.
I'm fine with that.
But people like that.
Yeah.
But they were paying attention to the characters, and like I said, the dub was made with an actual budget.
Yeah.
And also, very importantly, new sound effects and music was added to the movie to cover up all those parts with like silence. You know, when the monsters are fighting each other, there's actually like big booms when they smack each other. And also, very important, is that Toho was approving these edits before they were made, because when the last Godzilla movie was made with full creative control outside of Toho's jurisdiction,
it didn't go as well as they hoped.
But yeah, so Godzilla 2000 comes out in America, and the re-edit is so well received that they actually re-released the American edit in Japan.
That is okay. Hold on. This is crazy. So Godzilla 1954, a movie that is very subtly in as many ways as it possibly can with like the current sort of occupied Japanese censorship, or the occupied Japan censorship that's happening, takes a dig at the US for dropping 2 atomic bombs on civilian populations and unleashing a monster that it maybe can't control. And then, because this movie was definitely, but subtly, criticizing America's use of nuclear weapons, that gets cut up and changed out and gutted for the American re-edit, because America's like, we're not gonna take this crap. How dare you? You know, they're like, we can't release this to the American audiences post-war. We're trying to convince them that this whole nuclear weapon thing's great. So, that becomes kind of like the cultural legacy for a little while with Godzilla and America and Japan and those relations. It goes back and forth forever. Then the first American-produced Godzilla movie is made. It is not well received. Toho is pissed. So pissed, in fact, that they're like, we have to respond. They make the most mid-Godzilla movie ever, and the Americans get their hands on it for theatrical release, and are like, for the first time, they take the original Japanese movie and then make it better for any audience to view. And this was supposed to be a response slam dunk on America's movie, and America was like, that's not even good. Hold on, re-edits it to be a better movie. That's insane.
Yeah, and they didn't even have to put in a bunch of Dr. Pepper vending machines to do it.
This is... there is something, somebody somewhere is doing some sort of cultural and media exchange study on America and Japan, and this feels central.
Yep. So we're not going to do an episode on the American re-edit of Godzilla 2000. It's just Godzilla 2000, but better. So before we go into what movie we're going to be watching next, Kayla, what would you rate Godzilla 2000 Millennium?
I mean, I feel like it's gotta be. I almost want to rate it lower, like even lower than maybe I should, just because I'm so mad at it.
Mhm.
I am. This movie did not elicit an emotional reaction at any point in time from me, except when I saw the Godzilla design and I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
Like it. I gave, I had I brought a lot of hope and wonder and whimsy that was immediately stomped on very quickly in this movie. The thing is that it's not like terrible. Like there's a lot of Godzilla movies that are kind of terrible,
Mhm.
and this one's not. This one doesn't even have the gall to be terrible. It's just so mid. I don't know, like a very lackluster 2 stars. Like it's not the worst Godzilla movie ever made, but that's almost like at least the ones that are bad are kind of fun in a way.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
this one's not even fun.
Well, I mean, what's worse? Something that takes swings and has bad creative decisions, or something that doesn't take swings and
Yeah.
is just mid?
Yeah, well, I'm. You know what?
For that, I'm doing 1.5 out of 5.
I was gonna say, what if I said 0?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Gun to my head, I would rather watch Son of Godzilla again than this movie, because at the very least, Son of Godzilla had good parts.
I would have
even
fun.
even if they were ruined by the tubas playing while Manila is playing with Godzilla's tail parts.
Yeah, I can still have, like, I would, at this point, derive some joy from yelling at the TV over Son of Godzilla, and this, it's like, I just wanted to turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to be done with it, and it's not even that long of a movie.
Nope, it just feels really long because the pacing is so sluggish.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing though. Millennium era, each of the Godzilla movies are different. So we're going to get a fresh start with each one, except for the 2 that have Mechagodzilla as a protagonist.
Okay.
Like I said, we'll go to those. But those are the only movies where they have like a through line between movie 1 and movie 2.
Yeah.
All the rest of the movies in the Millennium era are their own separate thing.
They're standalones.
So it's very exciting to go into each one. So, Kayla, what's the next movie we're watching?
How do you pronounce that?
Megaguirus.
Okay. Next, we'll be watching Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. Be sure to watch the Japanese version, not the English version. If you liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe, give us a rating, leave a comment, and share with a friend. Follow us on social media. We got the links in the show notes. We also have a Ko-fi. You can support us there and get access to cool bonus content like extra episodes and access to the private Discord, where you can talk with other geeks about Godzilla and all things Digital Kaiju. Check it out! Gorilla Whale is a production of Digital Kaiju Studios. It is hosted and produced by Kevin Carpenter and Kayla Knutson. Gorilla Whale has no official affiliation with Toho, Legendary, or any other companies associated with the Godzilla franchise. We thank you for watching along with us. Until next time, watch out for kaiju!
Watch out for kaiju!